But when I see a picture that I took, I can say exactly what I was wearing, what the smell was, and everything. So it brings me back. And I kind of hope that through my photography, people see that as well.
Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. And I end up alone, I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect.
Chances are you know our next guest. If you're a social media influencer or just a fan of landscape and wildlife photography, you'll know the name Namek. Indeed, his art adorns the walls of social media, and in particular Instagram, just like your favorite Salvador Dali adorns the walls of an art gallery. We talked to the man behind the lens today, Maxine Collier. Maxine, welcome.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Why Namek?
Why Namek? That's a long story. So basically I started photography 5 years ago with one of my best friends. His name is Nader Eid, which stands for N-E. My name is, like the long version of my name is Maxime Edouard Israel Collier, M-E-I-C. And so basically we started the page together. So that's why you have Ni _ make. And I just decided to keep it just because it's a fun story. And it's like a good memory for me to see where I started with my friend at the time.
Now, you said you started 5 years ago. You've just amassed over 30,000 followers on Instagram. Did you think you'd come this far in such a short time?
No. Honestly, like, especially when I started, like, the only reason why I was doing it was only, like, to share a little bit of my work and to see my progress. And, like, also, like, getting a lot of inspiration from other photographers. Because I feel like Instagram is an amazing platform for that. Just, like, having some inspiration from other people. So, no, I didn't do it for the numbers. Then it became a little bit of an obsession, to be honest. No, and I'm very grateful. I'm grateful to have 30K now, but no, never thought I would ever get more than 1,000.
Obviously, very successful nowadays. If you go to your website, it does say, in constant pursuit of capturing the beautiful and intricate imperfections of life. Are you personally interested in or planning to pursue a direction that allows you to focus on the imperfections of BC?
Oh, that's a tough question. Like, I've always really been attractive with BC, like with the landscape and the wildlife. Because I first started when I was in Belgium, but I was really trying to find my voice. So I was trying to do pictures of like a bit of everything. So it would go from portraits, landscape, whatever, you name it. But when I arrived here 4 years ago now, I fell really in love with the landscape, and so that's why, like, I really want to see everything, the good and the bad. I love seeing also the human interactions in the landscape, but also like the negative aspects of it, like how also like humans influence the landscape in general.
When you began, you were a fan of the minimal imagery. Now, obviously, you're shooting landscape, portrait. How do you manage to fit in the minimal into a landscape portrait?
I still am a fan of the minimal aspect. I just don't feel like... I feel like there are amazing minimal artists out there. I'm not one of them. Like, I don't think that minimalism is like what characterize me the most. But I love seeing it. And the only thing that I do, though, like with my minimal background, let's say, is that I always try to focus the attention on one subject when I take a picture. So let's say it's an animal or a bird or whatever. Like, it's important for me that everything in the composition leads to that thing. So that the first thing that the viewer, when he sees a picture, the first thing that he sees is the subject that I want to represent. And so it goes with leading lines, then we'll go towards the subject. The light has to be really good on the subject. And I try to emphasize it while I take the picture, but also after in post-processing.
And you mentioned you obviously focus on a specific subject. Just getting back to the original question, what I did mean by the imperfections of BC in terms of the rundown architecture, maybe the poverty-stricken areas, and even telling a story and subliminal messaging using people. Is that something that you have thought about moving into? Or?
So I like it. I like the idea of that. Now I don't think it's something that is my specialty at all. Like, I like architecture photography. I like seeing all those aspects, like, and I like mentioning all the poverty and like all the other imperfection of BC and imperfection of Vancouver that are very present. But for now, like, this is not something that I'm into for the moment, let's say. It's not something that is my priority. Like I do want to focus on other subjects. Like for example, like the wildlife for me is very important, and like I want to strengthen the importance of like the changes in climate changes that affects the wildlife, or how we as humans build stuff and destroy habitat that eventually also get the wildlife to go away from Vancouver. So those are more the subjects for the moment that I'm focusing on, a bit less of the people per se.
So in terms of long term, do you essentially see yourself as making an impact in the conservation industry, and how?
I mean, it's a big thing, like saying that my goal is to have an impact on people. Like I don't know if that's the case per se. Like the first thing that I wanted to do was just like making art for the sake of making art. Like I love beautiful things, and for me landscape and wildlife are the things that I find beautiful. Now I do recognize that having more of an influence on social media, like it's getting slowly and surely bringing a voice that I can showcase to my people, to the people that are following me. So yes, like I do really want to go into that. Like this is something that I really love. But I don't know, like I don't have like a clear cut idea of where I want to go into in the future.
As well as the subject, what else do you look for when you're capturing an image?
I'll say the light. I think like the light is the most important thing in photography. If you understand like how to analyze the light, where the light is hitting from. So that's why like there are moments in the day where I never shoot. Like in the middle of the day when it's very sunny and bright, it's really something that I never shoot in. Like because I don't think like the light is good enough for the subject. So I'd say that the light is like one of the most, if not the most important aspect when you shoot something. And then the composition.
With that said, what do you find more challenging, a landscape or an image of somebody, for example, a wedding shot?
Wow, it's so different that it's very difficult to say. Like, I did shoot some weddings, for example, and like I feel like the weddings are very stressful in a sense that the magic moment just happened like this, and so you have to like be on the dot and making sure that you capture that moment, because otherwise like the person that hired you is going to be very upset about it if you miss the kiss or if you miss the ring. It's bad. With landscapes,
Has that ever happened?
no. Not yet. Hopefully you won't. With landscape it's a bit different. Sometimes the moment is really fast and you get the perfect light just like for a fraction of a second as well. But with landscape, like you have the chance to come back to the same places over and over again, especially if it's like close to where you live. So I feel like this is a bit different, and like, so I find weddings more stressful than landscapes for sure. Okay. Do I find it more challenging? Maybe not in terms of settings.
You're a modest guy. We've obviously worked together in the past. For such a highly influential photographer, and we mentioned you have 30.5 thousand followers on Instagram. Had you known you'd have blown up like you did, is there regret that you weren't as mysterious as maybe other photographers are?
I think I kind of like the mystery. Like I don't like sharing too much about myself. Like doing a podcast like this is like one of the first, especially when it's so focused on me. So no, I don't mind it. Like I do like not sharing too much. Mm-hmm. There are aspects of my private life that I wouldn't want my audience to know. And I tend to keep it that way. Like, even if I have 100,000, 1 million followers, those are things that I will try to keep for myself.
But to be specific, for example, there are other photographers out there that are a little bit more mysterious, is what I was trying to say. You don't get to see their face. We know who you are. Mm-hmm. You know, is there a side of you that says, maybe I shouldn't have even shared my name, my real name?
No, I don't mind that, because I think like it's important. Like as much as I like a good mystery, I think it's important to have at least a little bit of a connection with your audience. And like if your audience see what you look like or your name or where you're from, at least it's something that they can relate to.
Right. With business opportunities, editing techniques, and the globalization that social media affords us, is the art in photography obsolete?
No, I wouldn't say obsolete. Like it is more accessible. And I find that, for me, I think it's a positive thing. So I think it's a positive thing. Like I feel like I wouldn't say that photography was dying in the sense, but like I feel like with the easy access of photography, just with your phone, for example, you can do so many things. It revamped photography, and like people are more interested in photography than they've ever been before. And so for me, I find it a positive thing, and you'll still find a big difference between the everyday photographer or like the professional photographer. So for me, I find that really nice. I think it's an amazing thing.
Can we see the beauty in the art of the original shot, and where is that beauty?
So what do you mean by original shot?
So obviously you go into post-production, you do whatever editing you need to do, and people see, oh wow, look at the colors, look at the diverse colors here, but what they're not getting is that moment that you were in when you took that shot.
Yes.
How were you able to capture that?
Yeah, so for me, what's interesting is that every time that I see a picture of myself, which is also one of the reasons I took pictures in the first place, is that it brings back to the moment where I took that picture. And so through my post-processing and through the shot that I'm taking, I want the people to understand where I was. And so I want them to see what I saw, or at least what I think my memory saw. So like that's why as well, like sometimes like there are some adjustments on the picture in post-production, but it's the adjustment that I made is really for the people to understand what I experienced. So for me personally, like every time I see one of my pictures, I go back to that moment, which is amazing because like I can always say like I don't have a good memory, but when I see a picture of that I took, I can say exactly what I was wearing, what the smell was, and everything. So it brings me back, and I kind of hope that through my photography people see that as well. Also, like if you want to touch on post-processing and stuff like this, my original shots, I really try for them not to be that different in post-production. Post-production is like enhancing a little bit the colors and so on. Yeah. But I never try to make it like too crazy that it would be so different from what I experienced.
And just following up from that, in the age of art as business, how do you plan on maintaining your philosophy?
What is my philosophy?
Exactly. What is it?
I don't know. I don't know what is my philosophy. No, I feel like also like with art in general and with photography, like it's a constant evolving process. So let's say I have a philosophy now, which I don't know what it is myself. Like it might change completely in the future. So I'm not like saying that my philosophy will be the same now that it is in 5 years from now. It will evolve, most probably. There are things that I will want to keep, like for example, like I said, like trying to share my connection to nature and so on. This is something that I really want to keep doing. But I don't know. I don't know where I'll be in 5 years from now. Like when I see when I started and where I am now, it's completely different. So it's very difficult to say.
And again, I think you touched on it earlier, but just to maybe elaborate, what's your mindset when you go out on a shoot?
It really depends. So sometimes I go with a mindset of like, I want that shot, it's gonna be like that, and that. And if I don't get it, I'm mad. If I get it, it's amazing. Sometimes I go on a shoot, sometimes I just go on a walk as well. Sometimes I just go on a walk and just have my camera with me, and then I see what happens, let's see what happens. Those are nicer in the sense that it's less stressful because I just go on a walk and see what happens. If I end up with a picture that I like, it's bonus. If I end up with nothing, whatever. I was there on a nice walk.
I'll be honest, I'm like that. I see your paintings and I'm like, okay, I have to go to that place, and then I realize that I probably don't want to do the hike to get up there. So I do go on walks a lot and discover new places, and I take the camera. And like you said, it is nice. It is like a bonus to go, oh, you know what? I can capture this shot from here, and maybe something will come from it, even if it doesn't get as many likes or whatever. Nobody can take away that moment that you were in. And at the end of the day, if it's a cool shot, it's a cool shot.
I agree. That's the best thing and that's one negative aspect of social media, obviously, is that like you are driven by likes most of the time. And so that's something that I try to get away from as well. So like I try to post things that I like, that I enjoy, that I think is beautiful. If people don't think it's beautiful, it hurts a little bit, but whatever.
Well, I think what everybody really loves right now, because I was doing a little bit of research on all over the internet on places like Reddit, Everybody's talking about the bear. So can you talk to us about the bear, please?
So it's funny because so that's my most popular picture, so the roaring bear, who is not roaring, by the way, he's just yawning.
A few people on Reddit were worried for you.
Yeah, I know, and a lot of people are like every time I post that picture. But now, like, and I've always been very clear on what that picture is. Like, that picture is not in the wild. That picture is from in Grouse Mountain. There are two bears that have been rescued as cubs, and that they are in the conservatory bear area. So there is no risk in taking the picture. But yeah, I know people are very impressed. It's not my proudest picture at all.
Why not?
Because there's nothing epic in that picture. Like, people find it as epic, but I just caught a moment from a bear that is...
People love animals, though.
People do love animals, but like, people think also that it's a picture in the wild, and it's not a picture in the wild.
Right.
I don't mind it, because I also think that zoos and conservatory places are actually very important to educate people on animals in general, so I really don't mind it. I know that some people will be very offended and mad about me taking pictures not in a wild environment. So there is nothing like crazy about that picture, but I mean, and at the same time I do understand the appeal. Like, it's very rare that you see a bear having that behavior, and seems like he's like so mad. But like, I always say to people when they are scared about me, I say, like, do not worry, there was no risk at all taken in there.
But do you sometimes not feel like just playing around and go, you know what, yeah, I had to run from it?
So I could,
Yeah.
but it will always backfire at some point. Like, I feel like people would know the truth at some point, and then in the end you get more backlash because you've lied than because you've told the truth. But yes, I could have said like an amazing tale about that picture. There goes back to the mystery that you said. Maybe I should have been more mysterious about that picture.
What is your proudest moment in photography? Or in art in general?
My proudest moment in photography. I might have to think a little bit for that one.
Sure.
So I don't know. So going back on that bear picture, like the series of bear pictures that goes from that shoot, it was at a moment where with my photography I was really down. Like, I wasn't very happy with what I was doing. And so I just took my camera but went on a walk, which is like, you have to do the cross grind for that one. So it's like a grueling hike of like...
It's not a walk.
No, it's not a walk. It's a grueling hike, it's 3K, 900 meters elevation gain. And it started snowing when I was arriving at the top. I was like, I'm going to see the bears just to have fun. And then started taking the pictures. And then I was very happy with the results of those pictures. So that like gave me more fire in me to like continue photography. So in that sense, it is maybe one of my proudest moments, just because I was so down about my photography, and then it reignited why I was doing photography.
What do you enjoy shooting the most? And why?
Currently, wildlife, like 100%. The reason why I like wildlife is because it's like so unpredictable, and you have to respect the animal, and you have to making sure that he's like trying slowly to get used to you being around him, and so you have like that little game with the animal of like, am I okay being that close to you? Are you not? Blah, blah, blah. And then like trying to pursue it in a way that is also not harming the animal. So I really like wildlife at the moment, but it varies. It goes from wildlife to landscapes to very rarely, but sometimes people.
Would you consider painting your shots?
No, I'm a terrible painter, a terrible drawer. That's why like I went into photography, because that's the only art that I can do. I love people though asking me sometimes to paint my pictures, and I find that very rewarding, because I find that very interesting to people being interested enough by your picture that they want to paint it. And then when people ask me to do that, I always ask them to send me the paintings, just a picture of the paintings, obviously, to see the final result, because I appreciate it.
And not to pigeonhole you, but did somebody paint the bear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, somebody painted the bear. Some people tattooed the bear on themselves. I've had drawings, paintings, tattoos. That's about it.
Oh, wow, actual tattoos.
Actual tattoos. And they send me the pictures of it. It's like a big tattoo of the
Okay,
bear here.
because there's something I want to know. Obviously, I am friends with other photographers as well, and those people talk and tell wild tales of VIP corporate events, celebrity status, notoriety. And last time I talked to you, you said, no, I don't get any of that. But now you're talking about people getting tattoos of your paintings. So what is your wildest story from a fan?
But I don't know if I have that many wild stories. I mean, like, he asked me if he could use the picture of the bear and tattoo it on himself.
Right.
I said, sure. I would never do that. Go ahead. But I don't think I have crazy stories. Like, I don't...
I mean...
Like, it's not like... What I mean is that, like, 30K followers, yes, it's like a biggish number, but, like, it's not like people would recognize you in the streets or stuff like this. So it has nothing to do with, like, actual fame. So
but in terms of, like, because you're going toward a commercialized like a brand aspect of your work now, so I'm sure you get invited to corporate sponsored events,
but not as much as you think, as you would think.
Really?
Not really. Like, it's not like there's a lot of people that have a lot of followers on social media, so there's, like, the pool of people that you can choose from is enormous. So it's not like you have a lot of events. Like, I've been invited to Sunrise's event at the Vancouver Lookout, for example, which was really cool. But we were 50 photographers, so it's not like 30K is like a decent number, but it's nothing that would make you being invited to crazy events. Like, I still have to do a lot of, like, pitching myself if I want to do some pictures.
Okay, let's talk about the business aspect, if you don't mind, about photography. Firstly, do any first-class photographers slip under the radar due to a high volume of content on social media?
Yeah, for sure. Like, for sure, because, like, the thing with social media is, like, you post something and then it's seen by your viewers for 24 hours maximum. So if you're not someone that goes on Instagram every day, you will never see half of the post that people post. So yes, now the more you have followers, the more chance you have that your picture will be seen, because then that picture will be reshared on, like, other pages and so on. So let's say, like, the people with a lot of followers, like, tend to slip less under the radar, but you have, like, some amazing people, photographers that don't have a lot of following and put amazing pictures and they are never seen by so many people.
How often do you have to post on all aspects of social media in order to stay relevant? Like, do you also post to TikTok regularly as well, or in Snapchat?
So I mostly focus on Instagram, and then my Instagram is linked with my Facebook. So when I post on Instagram, it goes to Facebook. So ideally, if you want to grow fast and well, you would have to post every day. So it's like, and by posting every day, it can be a post, it can be a story, or it can be a reel, which is, like, more and more important now. So yeah, I mean, there's no secrets. If you want to post, you have to post quality. If you want to grow, so you have to post quality content every day.
How often? Once a day?
Once a day.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't go more than once a day. But the stories maybe, but not the post.
Could it be argued that algorithm governance reduced the amount of actual quality online and instead focus on crowdsourced attributes?
Yes, 100%. I think it's and that's what it is as well. Like, every time you post something, so basically the most engagement you have within the first hour, the most people will see it. So sometimes, like, I have shots that I find amazing, at least personally, or, like, that I'm really proud of, and if the people don't like it in the first hour, then it will just never be shown. Where you have some people that post, like, I don't know, like, you see sometimes, like, some things that are posted online that are not that amazing, but, like, yet they are very popular.
Right.
And it's just because it's incentivized better, or, like, it's shared better, or, like, the following is better, and, like, it would be liked better.
The actual platform of Instagram is argued to exceed the boundaries of its ownership. How far are you willing to go to allow secondary and tertiary parties to share your content without, at the very least, charging a fee?
So I really like when people ask me if they can share it, because it just shows that they care about the art that I'm making. I don't mind if there's no fees associated with it, as long as they mention, like, who took the picture.
Right.
But this goes only for Instagram. So if there is a page that wants to, or a person like you, for example, that want to share my picture, I don't mind. You can share my picture as long as you tag who I am. If it goes outside of Instagram, so like let's say someone want to have my picture on a billboard or whatever, this would be like I would ask for financial contribution, 100%.
Right. Even, I mean, as a writer, people say, can we share this? And I'm proud that somebody wants to share, but at the same time, a part of me is like, well, I put in the work, what can you contribute towards me? And a lot of times they go, well, you know, we can't, and then you have to kind of...
And it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
It gets frustrating, I agree, and like people sometimes also don't value the financial aspect of it. So it's like, for example, like if someone wants to print out a picture of mine, whatever, and then I set a price, which I think I am entitled to get because of the art that I've produced. And there's a lot of people also often that says like, oh no, it's too expensive, you're not worth that much. Well, who are you to say that I'm not worth that much? Yeah. Like I know the amount of work that it requires to do that, and like a lot of people tend to forget about that, especially with social media being so easy and me posting every day or every second day. They feel like it's something very easy, but like when you think of the shot itself, like the amount of hours required to get that shot is enormous. And so why my time wouldn't be as valued as another person?
You're on a shoot, say you take 300 pictures, out of them, how many are going to be good?
One.
Wow.
Yeah, like, but it depends, like, because like to be honest, like I am not like a heavy shooter. Like you have people that shoots like 1,000 pictures a day and then they're happy, and then they choose like 2 or 3 of them. Like I am more of a wait and see kind of shooter, and like I tend to like, which I shouldn't, not all the time. Like there's no cost in like making 1,000 pictures compared to 10, but like I like just the. But like I don't like having too many pictures. But yes, often it's like out of 300 pictures, you'll have 1 or 2 that I'm happy with.
And how often do you shoot? You shoot every day?
Not every day, but like every second day, yeah.
And generally first thing in the morning?
Generally first thing in the morning. I love sunrises.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's the best moment of the day. So the reason why it's the best moment, it's not always better than sunset in terms of colors and so on, but it's just like everything is so quiet and calm that I absolutely love sunrise. And I love seeing like the whole world waking up. It's something that I love. So yes, a lot.
How concerned are you that these people that want to share your content, that they use it to negatively influence art, or perhaps use it as propaganda in a news story?
Yeah, so it hasn't happened that much, but like it is a concern of mine. Like especially like for example with the like if we go back to that bear picture, like it's been used a lot on hunting pages and like hunting grizzlies, which is not something that is allowed. But a lot of people used it and say to promote the fact of hunting grizzlies and how amazing it would have been to kill that bear when he was roaring. So I am concerned by that. Unfortunately, like there's not a lot of things that you can do. Like there's not a lot of action or law actions that you could do. Like especially like I'm not a millionaire. I can't like sue everyone that is like using my pictures in that sense.
Do you ever go on these pages and just say, hey, listen, you know, you're missing the point of this picture?
Yeah, I've tried to do that in the past, but like you either get blocked or it's very easy. Like I mean, on social media, it's very easy. Like you're not happy with something, you can just delete the comment or block the person. So there's not a lot of.
Isn't that ironic? It's your art, and then you're the one that gets blocked.
And there's not much you can do. There's nothing you can do because you're sharing that too as a public profile in a public space. The only good thing about Instagram is that the quality of the picture is not good enough that you could steal the picture itself and then use it as a physical piece.
Right. What are your thoughts concerning the issue that photographers withholding the use of filters are passed on in favor of photographers who are filter heavy? For example, not bashing anybody, but I saw a photo the other day and it was a nice photo, but then there was the aeroplane in the middle of the picture and I'm like, well, that doesn't belong there. You don't have to comment on that specific picture, but that's just an example.
No, but I mean, I don't know if it doesn't belong there. I feel like the only thing is that as long as you are transparent about what you did, and if you don't want to lie about it, and if you're not lying about it, it's like, who am I to say that person didn't want to put a plane there? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, honestly, as long as they don't, and like that goes back to the bear pictures. Like, as long as you don't lie about it. Like, I feel like art is art, and like whatever you do with your picture is you decide what you want to do, and like if it appeals to a lot of people as well, why not? So like I don't care as long as the person doesn't lie about it.
Are we essentially seeing street art and / graffiti being monopolized
What would you mean by monopolize?
online?
And what would you mean by monopolize? In what sense?
In terms of now, the original art was going and looking at a mural on a wall, or having someone like Banksy paint a train station at 4 o'clock in the morning, under cover of darkness or whatever. And now, now you can just go online, and it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere, but it's not as nice as actually seeing it physically. Like I feel like it's the same thing. Like at some point, like I do want to do an exposition of my pictures, and I feel like seeing it physically would be so different than seeing it on Instagram. So like, and I think it's a good way to promote that artist anyway. So, and then it forces people to actually want to see the painting or like the graffitis or whatever, to actually go to that location and see it for themselves. I feel like it's completely different when you see a physical piece, or when you see it online. It's so different.
Brilliant. Couple of last quick questions.
Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal with photography?
I don't have a goal. Honestly, I don't have a goal. I just feel like I keep improving in my art. I keep take pictures as much as I want, and I still want to like what I'm doing. I would say that the only goal that I have maybe with photography is keep enjoying what I'm doing and not forcing myself to take pictures for the sake of whatever, client, Instagram, or whatever.
Will there come that time though where you're like, okay, I don't want to post today?
Then I don't post.
Right.
Like I didn't post the last 3 days, like because I don't want to.
What's your advice for budding photographers?
For what?
What's your advice for aspiring photographers? Budding is just like another word for it. Budding.
Don't forget, I'm not an English speaker, so you need to use easy words for me.
English is fantastic. What's your advice for bums like me who want to pick up a camera and don't know what they're doing?
Practice,
Right.
and just go out, enjoy yourself. I do think that learning post-processing is important. Like it's
so Lightroom is
Lightroom, for example, for me is like the best, and like it's the easiest way as well to edit something. Because like I would say that half of my pictures, like half of the importance of a picture, is done on post-processing. So I think like that's important, but otherwise like shoot as much as you can.
How much work is put into Lightroom? I mean, in terms of hours.
It can go from 5 minutes to an hour and a half.
So not that bad then.
Well, it depends, because
I suppose.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but like when you think of like if a picture takes you an hour and a half to edit, you have to think that beforehand it took me maybe 5 hours to get the shot. Then you go back, you clean up all the pictures that you've done, which is an hour, and then you edit for an hour and a half. So maybe like a picture that you see on Instagram that I posted took me maybe 10 hours.
You're a passion for football and obvious experience. You're a former Barcelona Academy project manager. Do you see a football, soccer here in North America, / photography collaboration in the future?
Yes, I would love to. Like I have like a lot of ideas of what I want, of type of pictures that I want to get into, like for soccer, football, which I prefer football, by the way.
Likewise.
But I haven't had like the time or the I've never like done it yet. But like yes, eventually like I would love to. Like football is like my first passion, has always been and will always be. So if I can combine the two passions, I sign.
Brilliant. Last one for you, my man. We're going to do a quick 60-second round. It might be a 30-second round, actually. But last question. Tell us about your experience at the Johan Cruyff Institute in Barcelona. Amazing.
Like, I loved it. Like, just the idea of, like, being associated to a name like this as well, which is, like, maybe the best or one of the best players that has ever been like that. Or at least one of the biggest influencers in the game that has ever been there. Like, I loved it. Like, it was amazing. And just being surrounded with people that are passionate as me in football or in sports in general was amazing.
Thank you, Max. We're going to do a quick 30-second round. That's okay.
Yes.
I might have to elaborate on some of these. I've only got a few. Okay, we got 30 seconds, my friend. Go. Best photographer on Instagram.
Benjamin Hallman.
Why?
Just love his style.
Worst photographer on Instagram.
So many.
Favorite photo
Of mine?
in general.
In general? Ooh, I don't know. There's so many.
Okay, your favorite photo.
My favorite photo? The bear, but the one that is lying down like this.
Right, I don't know which one. Least favorite photo.
Most probably all of the ones that I trashed.
Brilliant. Excellent. Max, thank you so much for your time. I really
Thanks.
appreciate you coming on.
Amazing.
Thanks. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Our guest is top rap star Seeker Wolf. So stay tuned.